Well, with another challenging day in the market and the week coming to a close, looking like it's going to be another red one, what does the future look like for XRP? As many people seem to have got incredibly bullish, price doesn't seem to be doing what we all anticipated, but behind the scenes, there is some big power plays going on. And good news for you, I'm going to break them down in this video. So make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Let's get into it. We are now a mere 4.5 days away from the Federal Reserve giving their December 10th FOMC meeting, where the expectation is we see a 25 basis point cut. 27.2%. This is increasing as well, which would be a good catalyst for the broader market, but at the same time, could be good news for XRP. In fact, Gemini Exchange themselves saying feel the ripple effect. And many people are watching what's going on with one of the only coins right now to be having positive inflows of ETFs. This could be a catalyst to see XRP starting to move. But what can we expect? Well, the liquidity hose has been turned on. The Federal Reserve putting over $13.5 billion of repo injections, which is one of the biggest since the pandemic. After months of burning through liquidity, they're flooding the system again. Capital is returning to the market and it is returning quick. And this at the same time while those ETFs for XRP start to build out. But that's not all. With Ripple's final acquisitions of things like G Treasury, Rail, Palisade, and more importantly, Ripple Prime, everything is now set, in my view, for a big move 2026. We have to get there. And it's not financial advice. This is just where I think a lot of things are aligning to support that narrative. And with volume starting to spike again with XRP, well, look, we could be in for a pretty interesting couple of weeks. Yes, we'll see volatility, but at the same time, it is outperforming all the other coins. For example, Bitcoin, negative 15.68% on volume, XRP up around 7.5%. So why the bullishness? Why the sentiment change? And what do we need to be keeping an eye of? Well, there's a very interesting report come out from Wisdom Tree, and this report confirms what a lot of people have been believing, that big money is already in XRP. In fact, Europe has spoken clearly that XRP attracted more than $540 million in new institutional capital this year. That is tripled the flow into Ethereum, and it surpasses the total for every altcoin and multi-asset product except Bitcoin itself. The rest of the world is now mirroring the similar pattern. Outside the United States, XRP took $250 million this year, and Bitcoin products absorbing around $268 million. That shows how close it is. And the United States is finally catching up as we see those inflows into ETFs, and while big money dumping Bitcoin and Ethereum, XRP feels like the one to keep your eyes out. This occurred during a month when two largest assets in the country, Bitcoin and Ethereum, saw $6.4 billion exit their ETFs. And finally, the pattern is global, persistent and asymmetric. Europe's buying XRP, Asia buying XRP, non-US markets are buying XRP, and the US finally is beginning to buy XRP. So what does it mean? Well, it means that we're going to see even more. Look at this, spot XRP ETFs yet again following Solana's footsteps with 14 straight inflows with 0 outflows so far, and it looks like it's showing no signs of slowing down. This for me tells me the appetite is there, and everything we talked about Wall Street, well, they are here and they want a piece of the XRP puzzle. This is before you get into the true XRPL bridge that's coming, the build out in terms of DeFi, the whole ecosystem that's about to explode, and even Bitnomial announcing their botanical US perpetual futures trading platform, which guess what, was backed by a $25 million Series C led by Ripple. And this isn't the first time we've seen Ripple hedging money, or certainly trying to build a little bit of a pot. We saw that back in Ripple Swell, raising over $500 million, which, by the way, many banks and institutions were all supporting of that. So what does it mean next? Why, therefore, are we looking at the price of XRP and it's struggling to hold on to $2? Well, if you watch my Bitcoin video update, then this is something you know. Markets feel suppressed at the minute, and it could be down to a number of reasons. Big money flowing in, nervousness about what the Fed's going to do. In fact, is the market truly going to do anything, or are we going all the way down to that bear market low of around $65,000 for Bitcoin? Well, these are all the things that just at the minute suppress the market. They make the dumps feel so much worse than the pumps. And you have to look at the last week to understand how volatile this market is. But over the hill. Biggest treasury buybacks we have ever seen in the US happened over the course of the last week. We've got big news coming from liquidity. Fed's about to cut rates, and this could even play out into a January rate cut as well. And then that's getting started on Kevin Hassett that should be entering the Federal Reserve by June next year. We could get a dovish cut from Jerome Powell on December 10th, which could ignite the markets once again and lead us well into 2026. However, a hawkish cut could certainly be a problem. And this is something that I think a lot of people are hedging that might happen. Yes, we're going to get the cut more than likely. What does Jerome Powell really say? Jobs report, PCE, all look in our favor, but we know that's never stopped him before. So worth noting, but behind the scenes and what's building in the background can only be held back for so long, in my opinion. Remember, not financial advice on the channel. However, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you are dialed in as we're going to bring you the latest content all the time here on both of my channels. As ever, thank you so much for watching. See you later.